Is Bo Bichette's relationship with the Toronto Blue Jays front office strained? It seems to be so, according to a notable Jays reporter. And there's also an update in the Bryan Reynolds Pittsburgh Pirates saga, so you won't want to miss this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. A lot to get into today, but we want to thank you all for the support that we've gotten in the new year. We thought it would continue, and it has continued. And keep leaving your comments in the comment section. Keep giving us your feedback, and we'll be streaming a lot more in the new year.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. And a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We're close to 6K subscribers, so if you enjoy the daily Jays content, make sure to hit that button. But like you said, let's get to the first topic, which is Bo Bichette's relationship strained with management, according to Kevin Burker's podcast. And like you said, he is a notable Jays reporter, and he's had some, he's pretty in tune with that stuff. So he said, this is from a guy on Twitter who was listening to the podcast, and he said the relationship between Bo Bichette and Jays management is strained in the view of Jays analyst Kevin Burker. He obviously said Bill, but he quoted himself after saying Kevin. What are your thoughts on that? It's a bit scary, and obviously his prediction here, this is not Kevin Burker, but this guy on Twitter's prediction is that they'll fail to sign Bo to an extension and inevitably make a trade. But I want to focus more on the point that the relationship may be strained. That is, if that is true, that's a little bit worrying.
I don't know. It doesn't shock me, if I'm being honest with you. And I think the Blue Jays are getting frustrated with Bo Bichette's defense at shortstop. And now they've built a roster that consists of players that are great defenders at their positions, whether it be Matt Chapman, George Springer in right field, Don Varsho in left field, Kevin Kiermaier. Um, they got great defenders all around. Danny Jansen's a good defender behind the plate. So I think they're getting frustrated with Bo Bichette's, I guess, lack of improvement at shortstop defensively. No one is doubting his offensive talent, but maybe that's a big reason as to why they haven't extended him yet. So it's weird to me. It's a weird situation, but it doesn't shock me in the slightest.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. Yeah, I agree with the defense is probably a thing. I wonder if that's the reason though. If the relationship is strained, it surely has to be some other things. Maybe their negotiation talks have stalled as well. Maybe because of the defense. Who knows? But obviously, Bo
Yeah.
Bichette's main concern from everyone, whether it's front office, the fans, everything, is his defense. That being said, we should still 100% try to re-sign him. And if not, then I don't know. I think next year is a huge telling point for him, especially when it comes to an extension. Because obviously, Vladdy, we want to extend Vladdy, it makes more sense. But we've talked about whether the Jays want to extend him. But this is, he said, he also went on to elaborate, saying Barker was talking about how the relationship in light of the newest contracts for shortstops. Jeff Blair also said he spoke to Jays management after the end of the season, and he said it's going to be more challenging to get an extension done for Bo. So it obviously also has to do with the massive contracts that have been signed and the fact that Bo is going to want to command amounts similar to that, and he doesn't have the defensive, level that those other shortstops who signed do have, like, Correa, who hasn't officially signed, but we know the gist of the deal, and Bogarts like that. So I don't know. It's, I guess a lot of it's probably a mix of the defense and the huge contracts that have been signed, setting the tone for the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah, exactly. And I personally wouldn't feel comfortable giving Bo Bichette 12 years, 300 plus million, because that's what he's going to get on the open market. I mean, Xander Bogaerts is getting that, and he's 30 years old. Trey Turner is getting that. He's going to be 30 years old. Carlos Correa is 27 with injury history. He's getting even more than those guys. So there's no world where Bo Bichette doesn't get that type of money. But at the same time, do the Jays have time for him to figure it out at the shortstop position? I think, like, I'll give the Jose Reyes example once again. Like, the Blue Jays had Jose Reyes, who was one of their better hitters, their leadoff guy, a bit of a spark plug in that lineup for them, but he just didn't get it done defensively. Then they flipped him for Troy Tulowitzki, who's one of the greatest defenders at shortstop ever, and that completely changed the outlook of their team. Now, I'm not saying you need to trade Bo Bichette for a better shortstop because there aren't many, but at the same time, you don't have time for him to figure it out because your chance to win a World Series is right now. You can't give Bo Bichette another 2 years to figure it out defensively at shortstop.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and it's gonna be very interesting to see what they decide to do. So let us know in the comment section what you guys think about that, and a bit scary that relationship is strained. But like you said, I didn't have a feeling, but it's weird an extension hasn't been signed for either. But we'll keep up to date with that. Let's get into the second topic now. I'll touch on this for a little bit. Huge Bryan Reynolds trade update, which is regarding the Yankees more so than the Blue Jays, but obviously has a massive domino effect on the Jays. So few screenshots for you. Yankees eye Pirates Bryan Reynolds amid quote unrealistic asks, and also this screenshot here, which is the Yankees still needing outfielder among teams consistently interested in Pirates star Bryan Reynolds, who seeks a trade. One interested team execs under the Pirates request in 2 words: unrealistic asks. Another team's exec says there's nothing happening between now, or nothing happening now, but they hold hope for spring. So this is kind of a new revelation. Obviously, you sent me this article today. I believe it was John Heyman who posted it originally, but the unrealistic ask, and this kind of relates to the Blue Jays in the sense of the Dalton Varsho trade. Clearly, it was going to take an absolute haul to get Bryan Reynolds, and it took a good haul to get Varsho, but I wonder what unrealistic ask that the Pirates are asking for from the Yankees and maybe probably the Jays before we traded for Dalton.
This is another weird situation because the Pirates don't want to offer him 100+ million, but they're still asking for your entire
Farm system.
prospect
Yeah.
pool in return. So that's just so weird to me. If you want to keep him that bad, pay him. Pay him what he's worth. Not 6 years, 75 million. That's a lot of money for us, but that's a joke of an offer for an MLB superstar like Bryan Reynolds. So Andrew Benintendi is getting more money than Bryan Reynolds is. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why the Pirates think they can contend in the 3 years that they have left with Bryan Reynolds, and then he'll leave them high and dry, with nothing. So diminish what you're asking for, set a realistic expectation as to what your goal is as an organization, because the Pirates are just they're in la la land right now. They're not being serious with this whole situation, and it's going to end up burning them sooner rather than later.
Or keep the asking price super high as a Jays fan, so the Yankees don't end up getting him. That would be an alternative.
That too. But there's going to be a lot of suitors
Definitely.
for Bryan Reynolds, not just the Yankees. John Heyman's a New Yorker.
Yep.
Of course he wants him to go to the Yankees. He's not gonna vouch for the Red Sox to go out and get Bryan Reynolds.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, it kind of goes to show that I think the Jays did well. We knew the Jays did really well since the as soon as it happened and went on live stream. But it goes to show, even front office obviously knows a lot more than we do. But clearly, Bryan Reynolds probably would have costed maybe Tiedemann and Moreno based on what they're asking for right now, which would have been an absolute no-go. And maybe the Jays, and probably the Jays are more comfortable dealing Moreno than Tiedemann, because it seems like Tiedemann is here for the future. But I'll pop up one more screenshot here. This is actually got two more for you. So this is comparing Reynolds' Baseball Savant fair shows, just very quickly to show you. And like you said, Reynolds is a star. Obviously, he had a down year last year, did not have a great year, but he still he hit very well. His defense had a drastic decline, like you said in the past, probably because of lack of motivation. But I don't know, just comparing the two in the end, I think it was a great deal for both teams. Obviously, Varsho is not as good of a hitter as Reynolds, but he's a much better defender. So either way, I think it worked out for both teams that the Jays didn't trade for Bryan Reynolds, even though we were both pretty high on them trading for him. But I'm happy we kept Tiedemann and we got our center fielder of the future.
I think Reynolds is a bit of a better player right now than Dalton Varsho is. It's not to say that Varsho has a breakout year and hits 250 with 30 home runs. It remains to be seen. Truth is, we don't know any better than you watching the video. So, Bryan Reynolds is a great player, but at the same time, the Pirates want to keep him because they have some exciting pieces there in Brian Hayes, O'Neal Cruz, but you can't hold a guy hostage like that. He wants to leave, and you're asking for way too much in return, and you're just going to end up getting burned. And this is not going to end well for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, and it depends because obviously Varsho had a much higher WAR than Reynolds last year, but like you said, he doesn't really want to play for the Pirates, so it depends on what you think are on that. But I know a lot of people, including myself, I think Varsho is a better fit for the future, especially because he's a much better defender.
I think
And
so too.
just
Yeah.
and we have him for another 4 years. But either way, both phenomenal players. Get him out of Pittsburgh and get him to a competitive team, and I think everyone will be happy. Besides maybe the Pirates, but if they're offering him such low ball offers. I don't know what they want to expect, but if you're a Pirates fan, let me know what your thoughts are on that. But let's get into the last topic, which happened recently here. Gregory Soto is traded, and I am personally upset because I've been on record saying I wanted Gregory Soto. However, looking at the package that it costed to get Gregory Soto, I don't know. I'm kind of happy the Jays didn't go for it. So Tigers are close to acquiring Nick Ratton, Matt Verling, and Donnie Sands from the Phillies for Gregory Soto and Cody Clemens. That's a pretty big haul. And Peter, I know you said, we discussed this off camera, according to the trade evaluator that we do, this was an absolute fleece. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah.
Fleece by the Tigers, that is, not by the Phillies.
Yeah, well, Nick Maton, he's a solid player. He can play all over the diamond, good defensively, left-handed hitter. Struggled a little bit with injury last year, but he's a valuable bench piece for the Philadelphia Phillies, as is Matt Vierling. Now, these guys are still pretty young, only 26 years old, and they got room to grow. And Matt Vierling can run like the wind. He's one of the fastest guys in the major
Yeah.
leagues. And Donnie Sands, I mean, don't look now, he's a catcher who had an 800 plus OPS in the minor leagues. He's also 26 years old. So, I anytime you're trading three hitters for a relief pitcher, that's going to be a steal for the team that's getting the hitters in return. And the Tigers, I mean, they're this is full blown rebuild now. They're getting rid of everyone. I think Joe Jimenez is was also traded, if I'm not mistaken, or
I think
yeah,
I'm
Joe
not sure.
Jimenez was traded. Michael Fulmer was traded
Yep.
last year at the deadline, and now Gregory Soto. So that elite bullpen that they had last year is no longer.
Yeah, I wonder what's next for Javi Baez and what happens with that. I don't know how many people are wanting to touch that contract, but like you said, and we discussed this, a lot of Phillies fans are very, very upset that they gave up three of those players. And when you're giving up three players for a reliever, especially, if only one of those works out between Matt Burley, Nick Maton, whatever it is, then you're kind of it's not really a great trade. And I was a huge Gregory Soto fan, but he did have a negative WAR last year, which is I don't know. Maybe they see something they can figure out. He is a flame throwing left handed pitcher, so there's tons of upside there, and it helped their bullpen a lot. But I don't know. It's I'm happy the Jays stayed away. If that's the package it would have took, three players off the 40 man.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot to give up. Now we use the MLB trade simulator a lot to do up our mock trades there, and it's not always accurate. But this trade had the Phillies losing
By a lot.
16-3
Yeah,
in value. So that is not only a major overpay, that is a fleece.
yeah, it is a huge fleece, and I don't know what the equivalent would have been. Maybe we'll discuss that in a live stream. Maybe something like Biggio and some other players like that with the prospect. But either way, I'm happy we didn't go for it, and I know some Jays fans were talking about that. But our bullpen's looking pretty good. One more arm would be nice, but maybe not one that'll cost us that much. Maybe something, maybe Liam Hendricks. Maybe that dream is still alive. But thank you guys for watching. We're close to 6,000 subscribers, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. Keep leaving your comments, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thanks.